So I'm Fiona Rowlandson. I'm a practice nurse and I specialise in diabetes in general practice, which means I see patients for their annual reviews. So everybody with diabetes needs an appointment with a nurse or a GP at some surgeries at least once a year, but we tend to see them more often than that. Good morning, Mark. Thank you for coming to see me. Now, let's just go through, how long is it that you've had type 1 diabetes for?
For 33 years now.
33 years. So how old were you?
I was 9.
What was the difference then to now?
I think the major difference has been the insulins and how they're delivered. Today, we've got these synthetic insulins and they all come pre-mixed in disposable syringes with very, very small needles. For me, that's been the biggest improvement, really, biggest change. And the fact that you don't have to take as much care of that insulin now. Like before, it always had to be in the fridge and stored in the fridge. And once you've used it, you have to put it back.
And so where do you inject?
My shoulders, tops of my thighs, buttocks, tops of my buttocks, or in the side of the stomach.
And so you move around, use a different site every time. How many times at the moment are you having an insulin injection?
Twice a day, in the morning and in the evening.
Have you ever had it where you've gone too much into one site and you've got a bit of a lump?
Yes, sometimes when I was younger I used to virtually always do it in the tops of my legs. And you could feel a hardness to the skin below. Yeah. And
then what happens is the insulin doesn't get absorbed.
Exactly, yeah.
And so people keep increasing their insulin when in fact they just need to go to a different site. Do you generally give the same amount morning and evening every day, or do you vary the dose?
It depends.
It depends what you're doing and what you're
doing
to eat
during the day or the next 6 hours or whatever. And also what your blood sugars are at.
If you're about to go and play a game of tennis or something like that, then you would have less insulin before.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were going to sit and watch television all afternoon, which I'm sure you would never do, but you might have a bit more insulin, is that right?
Yeah.
Or if you were going out for a meal with friends, you might have a bit more.
Other things like the blood tests used to be a little strip that you had to count sort of 30 seconds and look for the colour changes and stuff. But now you've got the little digital meters that you just sort of prick your finger and take the blood, and within 5 seconds it's giving you a number.
That tells you then what your blood sugar is that minute. But we do another blood test, which you know a lot about, called the HbA1c. Yep. But it measures your average sugars really over the last 3 months, which is sort of gives us a even bigger picture as to what's going on with the diabetes.
That's back to 95.
Yeah, very stable. One little blip there. You may have been ill or something. That's often when someone's unwell, or a job change or something like that. Blood sugars, as you well know, when you prick your finger each day, you will have odd highs and odd lows, depending on what you've just done or what you've just eaten or something like that. So those sugars on a graph probably would be much more ups and downs, whereas this gives us the true picture of what's going on. And what was life like as a teenager?
It's like any other teenagers, really. It didn't stop me doing anything. I don't think it really affected the control. It may have sort of slightly coincided with going from 1 injection a day to 2 injections. But that was just, growing with the diabetes, really.
What about work? Has it affected your career in any way?
No, I mean, the only thing as a child I really wanted to do was fly aeroplanes, go in the RAF, but obviously I couldn't do that. Because, for instance, if you're flying a multi-million-pound plane and you have a hypo, you can't sort of land it and deal with it. But no work. I mean, work in medical devices and go all over the world testing instruments and stuff. No, it's not at all. You just have to be prepared throughout the day, because if you've got to give a presentation or something like that, you've obviously got your diabetes has got to be well managed, so you can go for that hour. Without having to get food or anything like that.
Have you had many hypos?
Not really, no. None that have needed, massive intervention. So I could always deal with myself, and I always have with me. So I've always got some glucose tablets. So if I do go hypo, then I would take one of those to recover from that. You get to know how you feel when your sugars are going low. You can your speech might be a little bit slurred. you might sort of start shaking a little bit. You get a general feeling that you're not quite right. So you just do a blood test and find out where you are, and then correct it.
Excellent.